Everybody, and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. There are agendas available on the table near the entrance or online on the city's website. Consent agenda items are routine items which are voted on in one motion and vote. Unfinished or new business items are voted on separately. Councils will be given an opportunity for questions or comments, followed by citizens who must speak at the podium, identifying themselves. Citizens will be allowed to speak one time per agenda item for up to 3 minutes. Citizens who do wish to speak on a topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to do so during the public comment section of the agenda for up to 3 minutes. Kicking us off tonight is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next, any disclosures of conflict of interest? Any councilors have any conflict of interest on any of the votes that they will take this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our public hearings. We have 2 this evening. I will let you tee these up if you'd like.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Before handing it off to the development team that is here to speak about the project and the associated TIF that will be before you for first reading this evening, just a very high-level overview to introduce it. It's the Lockwood Mill buildings, and these were already in a TIF district, so that's already long-standing as far back as 2006. But the project is so massive it has been phased in development, and the next phase of development for another portion of the building to be changed into affordable housing units. That also needs to continue being in the TIF and credit enhancement agreement at approximately the same terms that it was, but it needs to be re-upped, so pulled out of the old TIF district and create a new one just for that portion of the building, so it can have the full duration, kind of reset the clock on the TIF and credit enhancement agreement. And the reason for this, as with most affordable housing projects, is these projects only succeed when they have all of the funding available, including the credit enhancement agreement at 75% reimbursement. But it's not just about the financials in that respect. The Maine State Housing has a very competitive process for their funding, and the local support through that 75% credit enhancement agreement back to the developers of the taxes on that property for the term shows that local support. So then they get those points in the very challenging scoring process with Maine State Housing to get the project funded through that means as well. Without further ado, I'll invite up the development team to speak further.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Dan Jakes with North River Company, the developers and owners of the building. And the development team with us tonight is Andy Jackson, who's with Dovetail Consulting, and our architects, Gabby Russell and Tom Platts. We appreciate the opportunity to stand in front of you again so that we can get this next phase kicked off. This is an amendment to the existing TIF agreement, as Nick was saying. And we have to have an application into Maine State Housing by the middle of September in order to have a chance at those public funds for affordable housing. So we're asking for your support. Happy to answer questions afterwards, and Andy has some more details.
Hi, Andy Jackson, Dovetail Consulting, helping Dan and the development team with this project. We had emailed a slideshow over. I don't know if it's possible to put it up on the screen. Might take a minute, but so I'll keep this short and sweet. Go ahead and ask any questions if you want, but there are a lot of details in the slideshow. Oh, there we go, pretty quick. So if we go to the second slide, just to orient everybody, the Lockwood Mill complex is just south of Bridge Street, and what we're talking about tonight is what we're calling Phase 2, which is going to be 50 apartments, plus or minus a couple, in the north wing of the building, basically closest to the bridge. And this builds on the previous work developing Phase 1 into 65 apartments. That work started in 2019 and started construction in 2023 and is finishing up construction now. So Phase 2 would fill out the whole footprint of the Martins building with another 50 apartments. Next slide, please. The project team includes the North River Company, the owners of the complex, Platts Associates, the architects, my firm, Dovetail Consulting. We help with affordable housing projects. Haley Ward, Bangor-based civil engineering firm, and Woodard and Curran, our environmental consultants. Next slide, please. So we talk about the goals of the project. Obviously, we want to bring housing to Waterville. The property we're talking about is I would say borderline blighted, needs a lot of help. It's a very visible property in downtown. You know, we're trying to bring investments to downtown Waterville. You know, looking at the comp plan that I think was pretty recently adopted, there was an identified need for new housing, for affordable housing, and the TIF, or Credit Enhancement Agreement tool, was identified as a tool to support affordable housing. So this would result in 50 new apartments. We're aiming them at older adults or senior housing. They're going to be predominantly one bedrooms. We'll get to that in a sec. And basically, you know, we're aiming to complete the redevelopment of the whole Lockwood Mill complex, and this TIF is one piece of that puzzle. Next slide, please. Might be a little hard to see, but some more details about the project. We're proposing 40 affordable apartments, most of them, and then 10 market rate units. Most of the apartments would be one bedrooms, consistent with what seniors are typically looking for. The rents would range between about $670 a month for a low-income studio apartment, up to about $1,550 a month for a market rate two-bedroom. And I can, if you have detailed questions about the rents, I can answer those if you want. The rents noted here, just to let you know, those include water and sewer, but the tenant would pay electric and heat based on those rent numbers. So the next slide, please. The request we're making, and we appreciate you and the taxpayers of the city of Waterville agreeing to hear the request. Basically, we're amending the existing TIF district, as the city manager said. The existing TIF district was created about 20 years ago. It's been slowly tapering down in terms of its credit enhancement percentage, but there's been no development in this premises. So essentially, the premises we're talking about haven't really resulted in anything one way or the other for the city or for the project. What we're requesting is a 75% credit enhancement agreement for 30 years. The 30-year term is consistent with the mortgage we're requesting from the Maine State Housing Authority. And the 75% credit enhancement agreement, I'll get to that in a minute, but it doesn't increase our fees. It doesn't make us the deal any more lucrative for the developer. What the TIF proceeds do is support a greater mortgage for the project. So it allows us to leverage more financing and basically support paying for all the apartments that we need to pay for. Next slide, please. So this is just a visual of what the existing TIF districts look like. In yellow would be the original TIF going back to 2006. In green was a district created in 2019 as part of our phase one. There was a very slight amendment in 2023 to add a little bit of square footage consistent with that footprint. But basically, this is what we have today. Next slide, please. And what we're proposing to do is add 0.477 acres to carve it out from the existing yellow TIF district, make a new TIF district for this phase. And so that allows the financing to be attached to that TIF district in particular, kind of like creating a condo unit within the TIF district. So that's what we're requesting. Next slide, please. Just to give an overview of the project we're talking about. On the left-hand side of the slide is our budget, and on the right-hand side is how we're paying for it. We're looking at a total of $21.7 million project to build 50 apartments. It's a pretty big project. You'll see that the bulk of that is the construction costs. And then on the right-hand side are our financing sources. So we're able to leverage, excuse me, affordable housing tax credits, federal historic tax credits, state historic tax credits, all sorts of other incentives. The TIF that we're talking about today would make that permanent debt number, the 3 million number, go up. And so that's why we're here asking for the taxpayer support. Next slide, please. And then this is just sort of mechanically how the credit enhancement agreement would work for us. We've noted on the left-hand side the income, and on the right-hand side the expenses we have to pay annually. So we've got rental income, and then the credit enhancement proceeds basically come back to the project as income, and then that helps us support more debt after we've paid all of our other operating expenses, allowing that number there in the bottom right to be about $3 million, which is what we need. And so the next slide is just a typical floor plan of the building, just a little more detail. We're proposing 50 apartments, mostly one-bedrooms. I think we're going from the second floor up to the sixth floor of that building. There are different footprints, but the architects are here to answer any more questions about the design, if you have questions. So just in sum, we're here to request an amendment to the existing TIF district, where we think that our proposal is consistent with the need for housing in Waterville, as documented by the comp plan, and we appreciate the opportunity to submit the request. Thank you.
With that, I will open it up to any questions from the council with regard to this particular request. Councilor Beal.
So if we don't approve the TIF, you would have you wouldn't be able to score as well with the housing authorities, and the possibility may be that you wouldn't get that grant or that money.
Right. The city manager was correct in mentioning the scoring. To be frank, though, we have a timing problem this year because the deadline is September 17th, and we're here for the first reading on August 18th. I don't think we're going to make the deadline for September 17th because Maine Housing needs 30 days to review a TIF before September 17th. So that's the scoring ship has probably already sailed away from us. However, if we're not successful this year in getting our grants awarded, but we're lucky to be able to have the TIF and credit enhancement agreement, we would carry those points forward to a future application. So in a way, the points may not help us September 17th, but if we fall short, they'll help us in the next round, which we will definitely apply for. So they're still applicable, but just not on September 17th necessarily.
Councilor Green.
So the main difference here, as I understand it, is the length of time of the TIF and the fact that it's separating it from the existing TIF. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So right now, the existing TIF district is all that yellow portion that was on the map. So it includes like the ball field lot and stuff that really doesn't need to be TIF'd. And so we're carving off the specific premises that we're talking about. That's one goal. And then financially, I looked at this the other day. I think the TIF from 2006, which is slowly kind of stepping down, I think it's at about 60% now, but it started pretty high. So that's why the city manager was saying, percentage-wise, we're in the same ballpark as to what was intended back in 2006. It's just that because development is difficult and developing affordable housing is difficult, it's taken us this long to get to phase 2. And then, does that answer your question?
Yes. It does.
So this TIF would reset the clock, as the city
Right.
manager said.
Yeah.
And if we have a new credit enhancement agreement, then the 30-year term could basically start at the end of our construction of phase 2.
Any other questions from the council? Councilor DeBrito.
Quick question. So when would this project be done? If we were to pass the TIF and all of that?
Yeah, good question. So if we we're going to apply on September 7th for our grants and our financing. If we have a strong scoring and everything works out in our favor, we would be notified in probably November or December that we can go ahead towards the start of construction. I hate speculating about timelines because I'm always wrong, but if we did everything right and everything was smooth and construction pricing didn't pull the rug out from underneath us like it did last time, we could start construction in maybe a year, so late 2027. And then it's probably about a year construction, so the apartments would come online probably at the earliest in late 2028, if we're lucky.
Anyone else from the council? Anyone from the public have any questions? Anyone online? Okay, we will close the public hearing for the gas, Council Beal.
What are your thoughts, Nick, about using TIF funds in this way?
Sure, I'm happy to speak to that. When it comes to affordable housing TIFs, I think it's a much different conversation and frankly an easier one than otherwise, the economic development ones, where you have to make judgment calls about the value. I think affordable housing TIFs are in many respects a no-brainer if it's a priority in the community to advance these types of housing projects. They're almost the only way they can succeed financially. And the fact that this one in particular was already granted a TIF and credit enhancement agreement, is just resetting the clock. That's a reason in support of it, I would say. And two more reasons in support would be that this particular project has been a long-standing comp plan goal, citywide goal to rehab and bring those mill buildings back to a useful purpose, as has been done in the prior phases. And then lastly, having reviewed other affordable housing TIFs in my career, this one went above and beyond the bare minimum requirements by quite leaps and bounds, like the state requirements for being considered affordable, a certain percentage of AMI. This project far exceeded that, meaning they're providing much more affordable units as a percentage of their building and at a lower percentage of area median income than is required of them. So I think that's a vote of confidence in their favor as well.
Are there any things that you're concerned about? Additional city services that we'll have to come up with without any funding in that area?
Good point. When considering TIFs, particularly affordable housing, yes, there could be more services, but that's part of the reason it's 75% of their tax dollars returned to them to make the project viable, but the city retaining 25% to account for those cost of services, which is the plan. And furthermore, as is the case with all TIFs, it's not returning existing taxpayer dollars. They're creating new value, and they're getting some of their own taxes back. It's kind of hard to fathom sometimes, but that's what's actually happening. So if the project didn't even happen, they wouldn't be getting money. They're only saving tax dollars that they would have paid in otherwise. And the city is still getting that 25% new value that only happens if the project is built.
Thank you.
All right. I'll ask again now, any other one from the public? Okay. With that, we will close that public hearing, and we will move on to the second one? Or is it all the same?
Just for protocol, we can call it the second one, so we follow that. But it is the same project. So the first one was amending the prior TIF to pull this piece out, and the second one was creating the new TIF with just that portion and the 75% credit enhancement agreement for the 30-year term. So same project, just two different issues.
All right. We don't want to add anything else then at that point, right? You guys are good. Any questions from the council? Anyone from the public? Anyone online? Okay, we will close that out as well. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Best of luck with all of the process. Let us know if we can be of any help. Next up, we have a presentation from the Friends of Quarry Road and their annual report. Hannah, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
My name is Hannah Bouchard. I'm the current president of the board of Friends of Quarry Road. We're an all-volunteer board of directors that sort of form a nonprofit arm to fundraise and support Waterville's largest park, which is Quarry Road Recreation Area off of North Street, though I hope everyone is familiar with it. So I'm just going to provide a brief update. We did give a comprehensive report, but I'm not going to just read it to you. I'll just sort of go through some highlights. Again, we work primarily on fundraising, grant proposal preparation, program assistance, and capital project development, hand in hand with the Parks and Rec Department in Waterville. We've recently helped secure outside funding for some facility improvements, the largest of which was our Phase 1 plan. So that was initiated with a grant that the city accepted from the Northern Border Regional Commission, and then we raised match funds through private foundations, small donors, the Friends, and the city provided match and in-kind donations as well. So construction on that project began in the summer of 2025, with most of it being completed by that fall. There was some final paving that took place this summer, and that project period wraps up actually in September of 2026. So again, not to go through all the details, but we saw parking lot improvements, stormwater management, infrastructure updates, access road improvements, utility installation, and some improvements to the Nordic Stadium. I did just want to give kudos to the city engineer, Andy McPherson, who was instrumental in overseeing the project on behalf of the city as your representation, and really couldn't have done it without him. So as we said, we're closing that out, which is very exciting to be completed. We also worked with the city to request $200,000 from Maine Department of Transportation funds. They're earmarked for ski areas, the roads to get to them, to further support Quarry Road and work on Quarry Road itself. In last fiscal year, we also saw the full expenditure of another grant, the Community Outdoor Recreation Assistance Program, CORA, which was issued through the Maine Department of Economic and Community Development. I really want to highlight that for everyone because we really increased accessibility to the venue. If you're familiar, I know you all are, with the South End Teen Center. They had a pilot project with outdoor recreation and adventure therapy, and were able to go out there and do all sorts of activities, from Nordic skiing, alpine skiing, snowshoeing, kayaks, really everything. For-season recreation. There's a large sign at the corner of Quarry Road and North Street now. If you haven't seen it, please do check it out. It's definitely more visible than what we had in the past. There's lots of murals out there, and a complete refresh of our snowshoe equipment, which is free for public use in the winter. And through this kind of momentum from Phase 1 and CORA, the city was successfully awarded the Main Trails Program grant, so we did not write that. Jeff, the program director who's here, takes full credit for that, but did just want to highlight that some of the work that we've done just continues to grow the venue. We also saw a rope tow ski hill expansion project to reach the Hemlocks, so the Alpine Hill. We now have expanded skiable terrain, improved snowmaking coverage, and new lighting infrastructure out there, which led to way more youth and community participation levels and events. We continue to support the venue through the grant development and grant proposals. And there's a lot of questions about what comes next as we work on expanding the utilities, against snowmaking infrastructure to account for that expanded terrain and growth. Lots of bike trails out there, and really expanding for-season recreation and accessibility for all. We really are a regional hub for all of those in the area to come and either participate in lessons and programming or just, walk and enjoy the trails. As I mentioned, the biking and kayaking are growing in popularity out there. We also have future plans, so that was phase 1, phase 2, and 3, build upon that, with lodge plans, further expansion of Nordic and Alpine trails, and we are working through a lot of these changes. Our executive director, I would like to recognize her as well. Jennifer Kierstead was our executive director for the past 2 years and has since retired. And moved away. So we do want to recognize her. And I do want to thank the council for their support over the years of both your Parks and Rec department and Friends for allowing us to work to develop this venue. And I'd like to thank and acknowledge all of our donors, grantors, the Parks and Rec staff, and volunteers that keep the area humming and such a great regional asset. So that's it.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments from the
I'm
council?
happy to take questions and
Councilor Beal.
comments.
I am a dedicated minivan driver, and I spend a lot of time out at Quarry Road. And what are the potential plans to get the road improved, getting out there?
That's a great question, and one that I'm pretty passionate about. If you've driven a minivan or literally any car down Quarry Road, coming out of the winter, it gets pretty muddy, potholy. So I think the start of that was the initial Maine DOT grant, but the project to rehab the road, we do have a proposed project to work on that. The budget is a lot larger, and funding opportunities we've looked at, and we've just been, waiting for the right time, because in conjunction with fixing the road, we want to work on having utilities out there. So there's not really like a water source out there right now for the athletes to fill up their water bottle or use the restroom. So we do want to do that in conjunction. So it has been like a long period of planning, but working with Maine DOT to leverage more funds. Even this sort of pocket of money that was accessed had been long debated about what qualified an area for that. So sort of going incrementally, but before we proceed with those phases, that is in our next phase. Yeah. Any other?
Anyone else? Anyone from the public? All right. Great, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Moving on to our city manager report.
Thank you. I have a number of items, so I'll try to be brief on each. The first is tree-related updates. Pleased to relay that a resolution back in February to utilize 2024 beautification bond funds. Some of that was used to plant roughly 50 trees throughout the city, and that has since been started and will be completed this season. And they're in many portions of the city in different parks and public recreation areas. And then the second is treatment of emerald ash borer. We were able to secure a grant from Project Canopy, and a portion of that was able to be used to identify and treat 29 trees that were determined to need that treatment, and it has proven to be very effective so far. So we're going to keep tabs on that and keep up to date on that to try to preserve those assets in the community. Next is downtown parking. That's a broad topic, but specifically tonight, just wanted to mention that throughout the year and prior years since I've been here, not only as the manager, but prior, I'm aware there's some concerns about parking enforcement and whatnot. And then seasonally, there's an influx of students at certain times of year as well, so a little bit more parkers. And we just want to get ahead of all of those issues and show our commitment to making sure that we take the parking as seriously as we can. So a couple of things. I mentioned the students. So Colby students come back around September 1st, and there is the downtown residents. So we met with Colby leadership to try to get ahead of that so we can make sure everyone's on the same page about expectations. And just like other residents, they are welcome to park and abide by the rules. We just want to make sure, that they are able to park safely, and that the downtown businesses also are aware that we have a newly hired parking enforcement that was in the budget, the part-time position. We were able to just fill that last week, so by the time September comes around, we'll be able to introduce the downtown businesses to that person, and officers they already know can make those introductions so that the rules on the books and the signs in downtown can be enforced as needed. So that way, there's ample parking for those that need it to support those businesses and entertainment downtown. And then the next is the Charter Commission. As you know, that's coming up for the November election. And last time I spoke with the city clerk, there was still a need for a representative from Ward 1 and Ward 7. So if you are so inclined to tell someone from that ward that we would welcome their nomination of themselves, they would just need to submit 25 signatures through the clerk's office, and they can reach out to the City Hall to find more details. But the deadline for that is very early September, so you have a few weeks to do that, and it's wards 1 and 7 we still need a candidate for, because we need a candidate from each ward for the Charter Commission. Upcoming workshops on Wednesday, August 26th at 6 p.m. in this room, outdoor dining and mobile food trucks. There's been a lot of discussion about that this year, and we want to get ahead of it for next year to make sure that the businesses that choose to utilize that service and the council can have a good face-to-face so we can review the terms and see what's working and see what needs revisions for next year. And the next one, scheduled for Wednesday, September 9th at 6 p.m. is pertaining to economic and community development. The large focus would be, as was mentioned in the budget process, there was a position-funded Economic and Community Development Director position, and we're going to vet that process publicly, not only with the council getting to weigh in, but some guest presenters, including from Central Maine Growth Council and the Maine Department of Economic and Community Development will be here to help give suggestions or answer questions so we can make sure that this job listing and posting meets the needs that we really want it to meet. And then a broader conversation could also include, would establishing a working group or advisory board of residents to consult with this person once they're on board be a good idea? And we can discuss that as well, but primarily ramping up to publish for that job opening and making sure we get it out to meet the needs that were intended in the budget. Up next on my list is upcoming presentations at city council meetings. As was the case just now about Quarry Road, we try to have at least one presentation a meeting, kind of spread it out for different public interest matters and partners with the city. And up next at the September 1st meeting would be Mid-Maine Homeless Shelter and Services. They will be here to discuss what they're up to this year, some new programming that are successes on their part, and perhaps, getting ahead of plans for the winter as well, because that's a time when people in need really need coordinated efforts with the city. And then the date after that, the 15th of September, representatives from the Impact Task Force, who meets tomorrow, in fact, they will be presenting some of the work that they've been working on for a subgroup trying to figure out additional services for emergency assistance needs beyond just general assistance that the city provides. So we're pleased to present that at the council meeting for its initial debut to you all. The second to last one here is the 2026-27 property taxes. We went through a very challenging budget process, but I think it was well vetted and involved the public, and we made some challenging decisions to reach a place that was more reasonable than when we started, and we hoped it was good for, furthering the city's goals, but not too much to bear for taxpayers. I'm pleased to announce that although the tax commitment has not been finalized yet, it's in the works this week and next week for tax bills. It's looking like the tax rate increase will be significantly less than even projected earlier on. And we had projected it would be approximately 4.9% increase to taxpayers. and it's looking closer to 2.5% year-over-year increase, which is very favorable comparatively. It's in light of additional new information we didn't have at the time of the early budget process, being a new valuation in the city, both some formerly exempt properties coming on to be taxable that are noteworthy in value, but also new construction, the assessing department doing their due diligence to find omissions or corrections as needed, and new businesses making investments in the community that are coming on the tax rolls. So once that's concrete at the next meeting, I can give you a definitive answer, but it's looking close to 2.5% increase, not 5. So that's very good news. Next and final, working group recommendations. I won't go into this too far because that's the discussion item at the end of this meeting, but there is a discussion about mobility and housing working groups for the council to deliberate and give me suggestions on. And that's it for me for now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, council comments and/or committee reports. Any councilors have any comments or committee reports that they'd like to make at this time? Councilor Beal.
The Parks and Recreation Planning Committee has got a rough draft of a strategic plan. I emphasize that it's very rough, but we've got some basic metrics that we're looking at. And our next meeting is next 2 days from now. And we're hoping to get something nailed down over the next 2 months. So I think we've got a chance to make some progress.
Great. All right. Thank you. Any other councilor comments? Okay. Moving on to public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to make a comment tonight on anything that's not on tonight's agenda? All right. Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Ira Mandel, Ward 4. I'm the nutty guy with all the signs out in front of my house on Cool Street. So I want to thank you in advance for the chance to update you about the progress of the Cool Neighbor Association. I thought it'd be worthwhile just reflecting back about how we got started and how I changed from a perfectly respectable retired physician into this guy who's out there trying to get everyone's attention and make some changes. I had a very busy practice. I delivered a lot of babies. I became a hospice and palliative care physician, took care of a lot of people at end of life, took care of hundreds of people with drug addiction, took on all kind of leadership roles, formed a nonprofit, established 2 recovery houses within 1 year on the Mid-Coast before I retired. And I was looking forward when we moved to Waterville to have a quieter life, savoring the fruits of this amazing community. But it didn't take me long, however, to witness a lot of isolation, loneliness, sadness, and tragedy right in front of the house I moved into in 2023. Almost all the neighbors who I met didn't even know the names of their immediate neighbors, and most kept entirely to themselves. A teenager took his own life in the house right across the street from me. I didn't even know there were children in the house. This is after living there for 2 years. Further down the street, a drug abuse-related homicide drove home how much addiction there was in our community, along with homelessness, all kinds of traumas, and many other problems. Waterville's not unlike other communities in Maine. Communities have withered as families have struggled. In the community where I live, there's no place at all for people of all ages to gather, including and especially teenagers. This is not good. So I started putting out Adirondack chairs in front of my house to sit and talk to people who needed to talk and needed some help. I put out a cooler with cold water which many people graciously accepted. But finally, I felt something bolder needed to be done to start healing the community, to encourage people to come out of their houses, put down their cell phones, and start to get to know one another and support one another. So I began what I called the Cool Neighborhood Association, mostly because I like the sound of it. But we decided to drop the hood and call it the Cool Neighbor Association because many people thought they needed to live right around there to be part of it. But in fact, we have no boundaries. People don't even have to live in Maine if they want to join. Our strategy was simple. Potluck suppers in a church hall the Lutheran Church on Cool Street. They've been very wonderful to us. They let us use their meeting hall for free. Potluck suppers kept our costs down, but offered up good family-style food and great loving conversation. The strategy was to just, try to keep the barriers low, make it inviting, try to get people out of their homes, find a place to meet, get to know each other, make some friends, feel that someone cared. So on this coming Saturday, we're having our 5th potluck supper of this year, and we'll up our game by bringing in a talented dance caller to teach us all how to square dance. And almost nobody knows how to square dance in this group, which would be the fun of it, because we'll all stumble around and laugh. But it's only a beginning to heal the community. We know to establish a community center, we hope to establish a community center to give everyone, especially children, a place to safely meet and feel loved, much like the teen center in the South End and AYCC. We're looking to make partners with other nonprofits who are already trying to do the same thing so we can collaborate and build off of each other's strengths. This includes the city government, of which I'm now part of in terms of the Impact Task Force, all the businesses and organizations in Waterville, and like John Godbout, who I know has been here often, he's working in the same direction. So for now, I just want to end by inviting everyone here tonight and everyone in our community to join us in celebration and to unite in support of each other. Please join us at the Waterville Senior High School on Saturday, August 22nd at 5 p.m. for our potluck supper and community square dance.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Anyone else for public comment this evening? Anyone online, Dee? Okay. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have anybody online? Brandon. Oh, okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Herrard.
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I'll entertain a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please, Dee.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
DeBrito,
Yes.
sorry, Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Herrard.
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, moving on to new business, Resolution 156, 2026.
Authorize the issuance of a secondhand license to Jenny Allen, doing business as Loon Room.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, is Jenny or anyone from the Loon Room here tonight? No? Okay. Any questions or concerns? I think she spoke about this last time about adding the secondhand
She did.
spouse next time. Okay, great. Any questions from the council or any comments? Seeing none, Dee, roll call, please.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Herrard.
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, moving on to Order 157, 2026.
Adopt the third amendment to the Lockwood Mills Municipal Tax Increment Finance District Development Program.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion, comments, concerns, questions? Anyone in the public? Sir?
Just a note that this will require 2 readings, should you like to move it forward. And you'll notice there are also 2 separate orders, like with the public hearing. This one is for amending the prior 2006 TIF, and then the second one thereafter would be creating a new TIF district and credit enhancement agreement. And that would be 2 readings. If you have any legal questions, the city's TIF representative, Phil Saucier, is online as well.
All right. All right, with that, roll call, please, Dee.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard,
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Order 158, 2026.
Lockwood Mills Phase 2 Affordable Housing Municipal Development and Tax Increment Financing District.
Move to adopt. Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Anyone from the public? Anyone online? All right. Roll call, please, Dee.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard.
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to Order 159, 2026.
Accept grant funds to support a seasonal outdoor recreation program coordinator at Quarry Road Recreation Area.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Jeff, good evening, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
So the attached order accepts grant funds from Friends of Quarry Road for a seasonal position out at Quarry Road Trails. This is going to be an outdoor recreation program coordinator position. So this is going to be one season of funding. Originally, this was a grant from 2024. We ultimately did not fill that position in 2024. So we've kind of revisited this, expanded the scope of the position. And this is really, we're trying to get someone out there who helps kind of support all of the great stuff we do during the winter, all the programs, the events, and really just everything we do out there. So yeah, happy to answer any questions you guys have about it.
Any questions from the council? Councilor Beal?
So, great idea. Hope it goes through. What about the following years? Let's say it works really well. Will this become a city-funded position for eventually, or?
So this is just one season of funding. So after this winter, if we fill the position, we're obviously going to revisit it. The grantor has made it clear that we can potentially go back to them for a second season, but this position is going to support revenue-generating functions of the park, programs, events. So ultimately, the hope is that a position like this could lead to a revenue increase and help it be self-sustaining. But you know, we're going to try it for this season and see how it goes. This is not a year-round position. It would be obviously just a winter season position.
So you're going to come back to us with a summary of your assessment of the revenue generation possibilities at the end of this?
Like at the end after we hire
Yeah,
someone?
well, after the season.
Yeah,
As
of
a-
course.
as a
Yeah,
follow-up
we'll
report.
see how the season goes. So,
Okay.
I'm hopeful we can fill a position. In 2024, the position scope was very narrow, and it was like very ski specific. The hope is we just get someone who's passionate about what we're doing out there and can help, support many different things that we do. So, you know, that person might not even need ski experience, but as long as they are good working with our volunteers, good working with the Parks and Rec staff that we have, and just helping make it a really great community space, you know, so.
Nick?
Just to be clear, this would require 2 orders, so what is before you tonight, should you choose to advance it, would be before you again next meeting, as would at that second reading, voting on a 1 vote for a memorandum of understanding on the terms with the grantor, rather.
Okay. All right. Any questions, any other questions for the council? Concerns? Councilor Green?
Yeah, my question is just if you could give a sense of the scope of what you hope to achieve with the position, and particularly with regard to revenue generating. I presume you want to do more events, but do you have kind of a thumbnail sketch of what you hope to achieve?
Yeah, so we have, I mean, sort of our core, the core of what we do in the winter is our youth ski programs, but we also do have, we have an adult learn to ski class. We have a new program we started last year that's like a Wednesday night slalom race for downhill skiing. So obviously there's a ton of energy out there. So we have kind of historic numbers on what those programs can look like, and we know roughly where they can be. We've been a little bit off the last couple years, I would say, from historic highs, both in terms of programs and events. And on a good winter, like events are going to be the bulk of our revenue outside of like season passes and day tickets. So yeah, there's a ton going on, and it's a 7-day week operation. We need people who can be out there and help make it all possible. So
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Anyone else? Anyone from the public have any questions, comments? Okay. Great. D, roll call, please.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard,
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to Order 160, 2026.
Approve land lease with HK Main Properties LLC.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right. Hi, good
How's
evening.
it going? Good evening. My name is Seth. I'm here on behalf of A.E. Hodson Engineers. We are the designers for this project. We're representing Ollie's. They're looking to have a loading dock built behind their new location and are hoping to get approval for that.
Okay. Nick, you want to just kind of give a little more backstory?
Thank you for that introduction. The reason why it's before you this evening is the business in question in the concourse is looking to build this loading dock in the rear of the building, and that alleyway is city-owned property. There is an easement over it to get to their properties, but to build this loading dock on the city property, the city feels that we would need some sort of agreement with the building owner. So the terms are clear, and that is what is before you this evening. Derek is here if you have any legal questions. He helped draft that. And the reasons why we would want this lease agreement, in addition to it being city-owned property, so we want to have that in place, is we want to make sure the terms of who pays for the construction or any issues along the way is on the building owner, or if they pass that along to the business, that's fine. And the reasoning behind wanting to have it with a property owner versus a business is because there's ways you can, if there were any issues, you can deal with it and legal ramifications, but it shouldn't come to that. But that's why you do it with a property owner, not just a business. And there are some terms in there that we came up with to protect the cities. In addition to paying for the cost of construction, we also have terms in there if we need to remove it for any reasons, or the terms of the duration and payment, considering it is a use of a formerly public space now becoming more exclusive. It's de minimis in its size, but we still want to maintain that kind of structure when we have lease arrangements with public spaces. Any further detail, I could defer to Derek if you have questions.
Any questions from the council with regard to this? Anyone from the public? Okay. All right, great, thank you. Dean, anyone online? Just before? All right.
Once again, this would require 2 votes.
Correct,
And there is one note I would like to make on page 8 of this agreement document. It's currently listed as a signature of Ollie's. That should be the HK Properties instead, just to note, and we will correct that, and it will be before you in a second reading should you pass it this evening.
Okay. All right, with that, D, roll call, please.
Counselor Gilly,
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito,
Yes.
Counselor Burdick,
Yes.
Counselor Green,
Yes.
Counselor Krigbaum,
Yes.
Counselor Beal,
Yes.
Counselor Harard,
Yes.
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the first of two discussion items this evening. Talking about some working groups. The first up is going to be mobility. Do you want to kick us off with that?
Yeah, I won't speak too much. I hope the memos I put forward speak for themselves. It was, as I was tasked, to put together a framework. So in addition to the scope and the membership that I would propose, it's more fine-tuning a small set of deliverables and a initial work plan to get these up and running. And as was discussed before, working groups instead of committees makes them more nimble and actionable and able to start work immediately on narrowly focused things, and then we can reevaluate and change as needed more easily.
Okay. All right, anyone from the council wish to kick us off with the document that Nick put together for us to review? Any comments, questions, things we want to talk about in greater detail or expand on or take out at this point?
I would like to thank you for putting the document together. I think that it is a very detailed and instructive way to approach these working groups. I had a bit of a fear with the working groups originally that they were going to be kind of vague and we wouldn't have much direction, but having actionable topics and objectives that we want to work towards and ideas for where to start those conversations is and it's organized extremely well, so thank you.
I would second that.
Okay. Anyone else from the council? Yes.
Well, I just want to reiterate that this has been a long time coming, particularly with the mobility working group, and that some of this work has been done already by citizens, but I really look forward to having a more formal channel for really making some progress on this issue, which is becoming more and more important, particularly pedestrian safety, and with it, speed all throughout the city, as well as the question of, increased traffic in general and parking and how we're going to manage that as we grow. So I second Councillor Krigbaum's kudos to our city manager. This is very clear, and I'm all for it.
Anyone from the public wish to say anything? Sir?
Hello, my name's Lyle, Ward 4. Good evening, everybody, council, mayor, Nick, manager. Cool Street, it's a vibrant residential neighborhood where families live, elderly neighbors walk, children play. Foot traffic is heavy, definitely with school starting back up. So, I mean, you're getting dozens of kids walking back and forth to the school. Unfortunately, our street is being heavily exploited as high-speed shortcuts with motorists and commercial vehicles accessing KMD. Drivers are just speeding down a road with complete disregard for the fact that this is a community, not a highway. The daily reality for residents has become a pressing public safety issue. We witness near misses constantly. It has become a dangerous gamble just to back out of your driveway. Children, I have children, I don't let them near the road, the sidewalk. You have cars going by 45 miles per hour and they're 7 feet from you. We had an instance where the police put out those speed signs. Me walking down, not even 5 minutes, there's a car going by 61. That's unacceptable. It's just an accident waiting to happen. It's preventable. So it's like, why wait? Let's take action. While the increased police presence, they've been out there for the last couple weeks. Short term, we know that patrols can't be there indefinitely, but we're trying to figure out and implement physical long-term traffic measures. Our community is united, deeply concerned, and ready to cooperate. We love our neighborhood, and we simply want to keep our families and homes safe. We ask that you partner with us and bring permanent safety back to our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming down. I appreciate the comments. Okay, great. Anyone else?
I want to say something too. My
Please.
name's Lauren Ross.
Hold on one second, Lauren. They won't be able to hear on you. You can come forward.
okay.
Just before you start announcing yourself, thank you.
Lauren Ross. I am a neighbor of Lyle's and proximal to the Cool Street neighborhood. And I've lived in that community, in that area for the last 20 years. My family's owned a home on Oakland Street for 70 years. It's been a lovely residential area, and I just want to echo Lyle's concerns in terms of public safety. I walk my dog on Cool Street, and more than once, the vehicles are going by so fast that they move you. The speed is very unsafe. I have friends in the Augusta community that had family members hit and killed because the speed was so excessive for the area. It's 25 miles an hour for a reason. I wish we could legislate respect and kindness and reverence for people's homes and properties, but we can't seem to. So as a neighborhood, we're looking for some guidance of what we can do to protect our homes, to keep pedestrians safe. I mean, it is a very heavily traveled, nicely maintained sidewalk on Cool Street. Kids are going to the high school every day, and they are looking down at their phones or on their scooters, and they're not paying attention to the truck with the double-wide tires blasting down. You know what I mean? I get sick sometimes out there, the amount of speed. We won't even get into the excessive noise and the punched-out baffles and all the racing that goes on First Rangeway and Cool Street. I wish I had some brilliant thoughts about solutions, but I just wanted to step up and say, yes, the neighborhood is ready to do what we can as individuals to try to make it safer for our families. Sure. It's hard to see dead animals in the road, squirrels, cats. It's happening on that street, and it'll be a human before long. And like Lyle said, we're trying to get ahead of it if we can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes, Councilor Burdick.
Looking at the working group scope of work and proposed membership, I'm wondering, like I know it says 3 to 4 residents and bike, pedestrian advocates, et cetera, but I'm wondering if like some attempt at regional representation would be helpful so that we do have the perspectives of different neighborhoods and the people that are living in different parts of our community. Because surely the needs on Cool Street might be very different than in my dead end street, right? So I think we can make some attempt to represent different neighborhoods and read parts of the city. I think I would like to see that in the proposed membership.
Do you want to spell that out differently, or, I mean, I think when I've tried to put boards together, I tried to get a cross-section of things. I mean, I don't think they would all be members of or located within the Cool Street location, but, because you're right, we do want the different perspective, because we have issues on Burley Street and Central Ave, I've heard, so there's,
Silver Street.
Silver Street, yeah.
Well, can we just add then from 3 to 4 residents, it says bike, pedestrian, et cetera, like geographic diversity from the city?
From separate wards?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to I know it can be difficult sometimes to get
hire people,
volunteers from specific wards, like we're seeing that obviously with the Charter Commission, so I don't want to be like, the full committee has to be one person from each ward. And, I mean, if we look at like Burley Street, for example, there are like 3 wards on Burley Street, right? So like, you could have 3 wards represented in the same exact neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of like a way to make sure we have voices from different parts of the city.
Okay. All right. No issues. We can make that, we want to put that in the parentheses, just spell that out as we put this together. Councilor Beal?
I'm interested in the housing stuff. I'm kind of, next step, what would that be?
Wait, hold on, are we talking about mobility? We're still on mobility.
Well, yeah. How does what's the next step on I think this is a really neat framework, but do we just have a meeting and get together and get organized then, or do you have to assign people to it now, or?
Sure.
What is your expectations for the next step?
On the final of the 7 pages of this memo, I indicated some proposed next steps. One would be the counselors, if they want to serve on one of them, they can indicate the interest to me now or thereafter. You could make suggestions to change either of them, as we've started doing here. And then you all can make suggestions, or people could self-nominate to myself or the mayor their interest in serving on one of these. And then before they're finalized, we can regroup, and you can have line of sight on what that looks like before it's finalized. It's not as formal as the appointment and confirmation, but we will make sure everyone's included along the process. And then we will just start arranging meetings based on those people's availability, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Aaron?
Are we still in the?
Yeah. Come on up.
Thank
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Aaron Hanlon, Ward 7. I live on Silver Street. I didn't prepare any remarks, but these comments made me want to say a brief few words about it. First of all, I would love to volunteer my time and services to this working group on mobility if you would have me. Second of all, unfortunately, we can't legislate respectfulness or consideration or morality or civic mindedness, but we can legislate traffic calming measures, and we can put crosswalks, and we can build our roads in ways that don't encourage speeding, that encourage people to drive slowly. So I think these are fixable, workable things that we can work with, and I would like to be part of that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Nancy, please.
Nancy, can you hear us?
Yep. I have been talking about College Avenue for years, and I think that there are many, many different places in the city that need, to have something different going on than they are now. One thought I had about College Avenue is crosswalks, which the gentleman just talked about, with those lights that are, that are downtown, that flash, the yellow lights. I can see how that, people might not work very well, but I can't tell you how many times I have been afraid that I'm going to hit somebody going across College Avenue. And I don't know that, whether a stoplight or, I don't know. But just in all the mix, College Avenue, I see as a big problem as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Nancy. Okay. Councilor Beal, I'm sorry, did you have another comment before we went into the people?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else from the council with regard to the mobility portion? All right. Great. Let's move on to housing. Councilor Beal.
I'd like to volunteer to work on the housing working group.
All right. We will make that note. Any discussion with regard to the structure or framework of how this has been delivered to you for review? Any changes or concerns or clarification for any of the proposed work or scope?
Are we talking about housing specifically now? Because I do have some suggestions for both groups, just more of a structural nature. But I can save those till we're done talking content on housing if there's more.
No, I mean, I think the purpose of these was to flush that out so that they could change whatever you wanted to have change on this so then when it comes as the official charge, right? This was your draft for us to review and to make changes so that we could get the final, charge of these working groups that we then would go out and advertise for folks to become part of.
Everything short of the word charge, and I just say that because they're not formal committees,
Scope,
but yes,
yeah.
certainly.
Okay. So let's go back to, before we tackle housing, let's go back to changes for mobility, things that you'd like to update for mobility.
Well, I mean, I think it looks good. I think what we're going to find is what I'm thinking about is this is not a committee, it's a working group, and yet it will need some structure. And when I look at the proposed membership, I think all of those areas are certainly valid, but that would make a very large group. So I would recommend that maybe we limit it to 8 people, 10 max, especially just with scheduling. In the past, when we've had other groups, I have familiarity with the first housing committee, and we had members on the committee, but then we also invited special guests, and we had people who just came and listened. So I think we can be very flexible about inviting perspectives without having, every one of these stakeholder groups represented on the actual group. So just my thoughts on that. I do think that it would be great, though, to involve people, the people who came here tonight and spoke from, certainly Aaron Hanlon has been working on this a long time, and Lyle also very active recently. It would be nice to involve the people that have been working on it and concerned to give priority to the committee. But like I said, I think this should be inclusive so that anyone can participate.
Okay, Councilor Harad.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially the number, the makeup. I think that as it's written, that would be a really large group. And certainly I think diversity is good, but I do think the focus should be on the actual residents and maybe city staff that this really impacts on a daily basis. So that's just my 2 cents as well.
Okay. So do you have a proposal who you'd like to take off at this point, or?
Not really, but perhaps we could come up with, maybe it's half residents, including counselors, or 2/3, and then some representatives from city staff. I think that's important. So, we can tweak that for when it comes back, but I don't think we need every single one of these
And certainly
areas to be
community groups
represented.
can come and participate.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we're talking, so now we can say it now, the superintendent and school board, probably not necessary to meet every time.
Right.
College representatives, probably not necessary to meet camp and KV camp. So cross those out. Obviously, 1 or 2 people from one person at least from the police department and public works, 1 or 2 counselors. And then residents.
Yeah, I think, in the case of KV Cap, where we're talking about transportation, I mean, that is something, that's an important service they deliver to the city. So, again, the scope of this committee could start being, I think it should start with pedestrian safety and traffic calming, but eventually, you know, the question of transportation and moving cars and people around is going to be a little broader. And so maybe we focus on those very core issues and then branch out to consider some of the things mentioned in the downtown vision plan, for instance, transportation options for people in the city and the parking management. So yes, I would agree with essentially with your changes.
Okay.
We don't need all of the colleges and school board reps just yet.
Okay. Councilor Kriegbaum.
Yes, one of the things that I would like to see with the mobility working group specifically is the diversity of solutions. I think that there is often a tendency to try to do what is the most impractical or practical side of things, either one polar opposite or the other when it comes to solutions. And I would like to see us try to come up with solutions that fill the whole gamut, be it from painting crosswalks and something simple as that, or to all the way up to, I don't know, full redesigns of like rotaries or things like that, or like pedestrian walking bridges or things like that that are much more expensive to kind of do, but are something that we could add to a to-do list, you know, a decade down the road or something like that. And I think if we keep our focus to something that's quick and cheap, we'll probably get some return off of it, but I would like this to have a much broader framework of looking for the more expensive but long-term solutions as well.
I got a question.
Yes.
So how long is this other working groups gonna go on for?
Part of the, I think, beauty of the flexibility is we don't need to know. But I think having a idea, I would say it'll probably take the rest of this year to get them up to speed, and then the whole of next year, and then reevaluate.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I think they'll still be valuable then, but you will have gotten quarterly reports from them along the way to see if you want to steer them in a different direction by that point.
Okay. So, yeah, we have opportunity for input. Okay.
Councilor Beal.
So I really like the listing of all the potential people that should be on these working groups. But I would encourage us to use that as a general guide and to start the working group when you've got some small number of maybe 3 or 4 people as a minimum to get started, and not wait until you get all these other people, because keep it flexible and you may go in different directions. And another topic on the mobility side, as a bike rider, I'm appalled at how poorly bike riders and e-bike riders understand the common rules of the road for what bicyclists should do. And there's a reason for that. I don't know how to get training, but to show people how to ride a bike properly in traffic, or an e-bike, or I don't know how to do it, but maybe that could be part of this, you know, creating education programs that may mitigate some of the dangers.
I agree. I think education is power, especially with the rise in e-bikes right now. I definitely agree with an education portion of this.
Okay. All right. Any other suggestions for mobility before we move on to housing?
I'll just say one more thing about this group, which I think is different from housing. And that is that I do think the emphasis should be on perspectives from the community, and trying to come up with some of these solutions. You know, basically documenting problems that we have and trying to find the solutions. I do think a public service solution or education solution as part of this, just, some sort of campaign to educate people how to observe the rules of the road and also just to slow down. Whereas I see the housing group as being more about how can we get projects done with all of the different stakeholders that need to come together to actually make progress on housing, which is a little different. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right. With that, let us transition then into the housing working group. So again, I'll ask folks that have read through this, anything that jumps out of things that you want to amend or change or ask questions about as it was drafted, as Nick drafted it and presented it to you. Anything that you didn't feel as though was maybe what you wanted or goes above and beyond what you were looking to do or whatnot. Sir.
I like the term flexibility for this working group. There is a tremendous amount of possible work that can be done on housing-related topics. But if we can give the working group the flexibility to perhaps use this as a guide and then create their own work program with the caveat that they come back to the city council and explain their work program and their plans on some regular basis so that they have, the ability to go wherever their interest and their membership takes them within reason. And I'd also like to see it start relatively soon. So I don't know in terms of the next steps, but I think there's a lot of interest in this topic. Thank you.
Councilor Burdick?
I'm wondering if maybe instead of like the superintendent of the schools, because I also have the concerns that Rebecca had about the last one with how many people, but perhaps someone from the planning board would be a good addition to create a little continuity there between the council and the planning board.
Sure. It's a good suggestion. Councilor Green?
So, Councilor Beal, do you have membership in mind for this committee? Other than, I think I just heard you say that it would be good to just let the group run with this, but.
I would love to have all these people show up at the first meeting, representatives. I just don't want to wait. I think that we can make progress with a smaller subset and then use that, whoever shows up and has the ability to work, that let them drive their work program that way. It would be wonderful to have all these people participate, and maybe they will all be there. And there's certainly enough items. The scope of work is, it hits the hot button topics that I want to talk about.
Just say code enforcement and planning's on there.
Well, staff.
Yeah, wow, yeah, planning, yeah, okay, fair enough, all right. We'll add that.
So, do we have an idea, do we have a sense of a minimum number, or I should say minimum roles that we want? We want at least one person from staff, right? Whether that's the planner or code enforcement. We need some council representatives. We've got Scott.
As soon as we have someone from staff, though, we start putting some restrictions on time. Because staff like to, and it's reasonable to expect them to work during their normal duty hours. And that may, we've
You're
run into
talking
that.
about midnight gatherings now, aren't you?
No, but I mean, there's trade-offs.
Yeah. I guess what I'm hearing is you don't want to sacrifice, you want to emphasize the flexibility and the speed over necessarily being completely comprehensive.
Correct.
Yeah.
I would love it to be comprehensive, but, I want to see who's going to show up, who's interested, what are they interested in, and use that as a way to make progress.
Well, okay, let me just say this, and then I'll be quiet. So I thought that the idea of this was to work on the goals that we identified as priorities, right? So I feel like we should concentrate on that, which is spelled out in this document.
I agree, but if we show up and there's, the scope of work has a bunch of bullet items, what are the priorities going to be? So priorities would be driven by whoever shows up with time and effort to put into it.
Well, this is, the scope of work of the bullet items are here, right? So now we're talking about things that aren't on this particular list at this point. Like, these are the starting points for this. So if there are things that are not on this list that you want people to talk about, then we need to add them to this group so people understand what they're going to be participating in and volunteering their time to do.
Any one of these bullets is quite a bit of work.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying is maybe we work in serial as opposed to parallel.
I'm happy to give some perspective, having been a participant or observer of some pre-existing groups already, committees and otherwise. Two examples. One, the Impact Task Force. Granted, there was assigned members, but we've had a lot of participation from people that aren't assigned members, and that allows for flexibility coming in and out, and if not everyone that is a formal member to make it, and then if there's too many people, break out into subgroups. There's a solution with this flexibility. Because it's not a formal committee, it'll be even easier to ebb and flow once they are up and writing. And then another example would be the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. I've attended that, and although they have a fairly broad scope, they spent their first few meetings determining the focus of what they wanted to start on, because they can't do everything at first. So yes, this is a framework, but if they have a passion and think they got to start with one of these things and then go running with it, that's great. It's progress, not trying to solve everything at once. I'd rather these groups have actionable solutions and deliverables than spend a whole year trying to figure out the problem. I'd rather they have every quarter, we have 3 great ideas and did one thing, than just having talked about it. So that's, I think, gonna work for these, the flexibility that will be afforded with a working group. Furthermore, when it's not a formal committee, they can be more free to do work in silos and then regroup via email, et cetera, because there aren't the formal restraints of having to have public meetings per se, even though it will be available to the public as well.
Councilor Green, or Councilor Burdick.
I do want to add, though, that, like, I hear you, Scott, but I do think structure is important. And, I mean, I have seen even actual committees get really down rabbit holes of things that perhaps they're passionate about, but might not be very implementable. And so I do think the structure is important, and I do think it is important to have at least the city manager or a staff member on the committee. I mean, it's them executing the work. So I think that is pretty important. I don't know that we have to have the city manager and he can designate his department staff to do that, right? And they can report back to the city manager. But I do think someone from staff should be represented on the committees.
In case it's helpful, until I'm certain these are going well, I'll attend, so. And then if they're going well, I'll see if I need to or not.
Councilor Green.
Yeah, I want to, I agree with Councilor Burdick, and I just want to add that I think it's very helpful to identify a chair in these groups. It could change, but I think someone needs to be accountable for setting an agenda, keeping the meeting on track, and then also, just following up and keeping the momentum going. I think that will be important, and whether that's as city staff or a counselor or, frankly, a community member, I think it is a very important role, and not as easy as it sounds. So hopefully get someone with some skill in that area.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? Okay. With that, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you.